Let's talk about Ole Miss. I'll let you start on this one.
I am not very high on this team. I think they have a brutal schedule. I think it kind of gets overlooked that they go to Tulane in week 2. I think Georgia Tech is not. It's a Power 5 team. I mean, we're obviously they're not going to beat Ole Miss. I don't think at home, but it's not going to be an easy game. I think at Alabama, LSU, Arkansas, like that's kind of a brutal gauntlet. You could be. There's a realistic scenario where you're 2-4, right? And going to the bye week. Like it's not out of the possibilities. Obviously, I think they're going to be closer to 4-2 than 2-4. But yeah, I don't know. I'm worried about depth here. Obviously, you can't doubt Lane Kiffin, which is not why I'm taking the under. Which is why I'm not taking the under. I'm sorry, but I do lean it. If I had to bet one, I would bet the under. But I'm not going to bet against Lane Kiffin. I think they have some production coming back. I'm hoping Jackson Dart takes another step. I've liked him since he's been at USC. I think he does good things with his legs. I think him and Quinshon Judkins are just an awesome duo back there. More so because of Quinshon Judkins than Dart, but I think they can do nice things in the running room. Their O-line comes back. Took in 2 transfers for depth pieces, which is nice. Bryson Sanders is a true freshman guy that they're pretty damn high on. They took in, that tight end from Memphis. Caden Preescorn.
That's very good player.
Very good player. And him and Michael Trigg. Hopefully Michael Trigg's got everything figured out health-wise and whatever else. It sounds like they're going to make up some of that lost production from your wide receivers like Jonathan Mingo and Heath last year. And use a little bit more tight ends in the passing game, which they didn't do last year. So offensively, I don't think it'll take quite a step down as people might think because of what they lost. In terms of production wise, with Zach Moss and Jonathan Mingo and Heath, but I don't know. Trey Harris, Zachary Franklin. We talked about Zachary Franklin earlier this summer coming in, 2 Conference USA stars, and hopefully they'll be pretty good. Still gonna need some pieces behind them. Like I said, the depth worries me here. I think your top line guys, obviously you're pretty set with, but other than quarterback room, I think I don't love the depth of the offense and more so the defense. We'll get to that, but yeah.
I'm not even gonna talk about the offense. I think you did a good job there. I am higher on Jackson Dart, I think, this year. I think the fact that he won those battles, I think, tells a lot. I think it sounds like he's perhaps grown a little bit. So, but I'll get into
here, though. Why did they bring in Spencer Sanders like that? My question is because I was high on him. I thought he did a really good job at Oklahoma State when he was healthy. Why would they bring him? Obviously, you're always looking at competition. I was looking to get better. Like Lane Kiffin's goal is to out recruit Jackson Dart and Quinshon Judkins even and like these talented players. But obviously, Walker Howard I think is more of a future guy. I think he's going to be the future of that room while Jackson Dart plays the next year or two. But were they not happy with Dart? Like, what happened? Did they want depth? Like, because they lost Luke Altmaier to Illinois? Like, what was going on there, you think? And why should I not be worried about Jackson Dart if they had to bring in all this competition for him and he's still the guy,
I mean, look, if you break down his film, you're looking at a guy that, was eager to take off, right, in situations where he shouldn't have. And he was really good at, getting out of the pocket, right? You look at that, only 3.79% sack percentage. It's not necessarily because of the offensive line, right? A lot of that was Jackson Dart, moving well in the pocket, right? But his problem, I think, came 11 interceptions. He didn't really take care of the ball that well, and I don't think Lane Kiffin likes that very much. But I think, it must be that he's just adapted another year in this system, and I think, he must really like what he's seeing. He must be taking care of the ball in camp right now, and he must be, he's got more talented receivers, I think, this year. Well, maybe. Jonathan Mingo was pretty good. I think it's an eye for an eye. I think these guys are really good that he has here, and an upgrade at tight end, Caden Preescorn. So I don't know. I think they're, I don't know. Either Lane Kiffin is panicking because he didn't think Spencer Sanders is not who he thought he was, or Jackson Dart has maybe taken some steps forward. So I was not so high on Jackson Dart going into. If you asked me in February, I would have said, "Well, he's not getting that job." Come on, what are we talking about? But I think because he won that job, I'm a little bit more confident in him. But defensively, their entire secondary decimated. And not just decimated because like, oh, they just lost guys. They lost guys that were like pretty good and they went to like big time programs. Ohio State, Oregon, Oklahoma. Like these are good big time programs, big time players. And I don't think they filled it with guys that are necessarily studs. So in their secondary was okay last year, but I don't think they did a whole lot to really increase their front seven or the ceiling of their front seven either. So it feels like this defense takes a step back. And if Lane Kiffin can carry this offense to 8 wins, I'd be really impressed. I mean, I lean under with you as well. I can't help but think like, man, like this is now Lane Kiffin every year he surprises us, but gosh, I mean, I really want to take the under, but I don't know. I was a little bit. I started to get the feeling that I was starting to like really like predict the entire SEC West, and I started to realize like, well, the more teams I pick in the SEC West, like the more like volatile my portfolio becomes, because like if certain teams start doing better than others that I didn't anticipate, then that means that the other teams are not doing maybe as well. So I was like, I'm just gonna pick a couple teams in the SEC West, feed me those guys and whatever. So I did not take the under on this, but it is enticing for sure with a really 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 tough schedule. So, but there's still things to look up and up about. What can you tell me about this front seven though?
Uh, in terms of positives, I think you're that's exactly it. I think your front six or really front seven, if you count Sunterrain Perkins, who
Yeah.
I know they're super high on. But he's obviously just a freshman, so you can't expect too much. You shouldn't be relying on him to come in and save your defense. But obviously, Cedric Johnson and Jared Ivey are both back at edge, productive players in the SEC. Not high end guys like you said, but they're not bad. You know what you're going to get from them. Hopefully, they stay healthy because the depth behind them is an issue. I think both those guys are pretty good run stoppers. And then interiorly, I think is where you're really going to make your money with JJ Pegas, right, the former Auburn transfer, and Josh Harris from Louisiana Tech. Both that pairing seems to be getting a lot of pressure up in inside and also a stop on the run. I think it's but as soon as those guys get subbed out, I mean, it's defensive lineman. You have to be rotating defensive lineman, especially in the SEC. It's going to be hard. I think there's going to be a pretty big drop off, and that's where they're going to struggle in some games. Linebacker Monty Montgomery comes in. Jeremiah Jean-Baptiste transfers in. They're fine. I think Monty Montgomery is an interesting guy. I think a great name, obviously from Louisville. Jeremiah Jean-Baptiste, I think, is from UCF. Obviously, they've played quality snaps and they've played quality football, but it'll be up to Pete Golding to get the most out of his defense. And to be honest, it doesn't sound like he did that at Alabama in terms of maximizing talent. Obviously, this is a much different team because it's way less talented. So hopefully he dumbs it down. I think Pete Golding's draw to Ole Miss was really how he was going to recruit. Right, he's going to raise the talent level of the defense with his recruiting, and with Lane Kiffin recruiting the offense. That they're hoping to build a pretty good team. But I think in year one with Pete Golding, he doesn't have the talent, and he lost a lot of the talent, especially in the secondary, to do some of the fun things that he would want to do with the team. And yeah, so I'm definitely cautious. I'm cautious about the team. I'm not going to take the under because I don't want to bet against Lane Kiffin, but I don't know. With the schedule too, I'm real quick. Georgia in the crossover. You got at Georgia. Like I think if you go 8-4, I think that is a super successful year. And that's barely covering your over. I think Vegas is a little bit high on them. I think 7's probably the right number to be at. So they give you half a point or half a win. So if you want to get some value there, I think that's what it is. But I'm not going to be there with you.